Hey there, this is Vinnie Moore. Check out Guitar Experience. It's almost as good as the Jimi Hendrix experience. I was always into listening to music when I was a kid. Just loved music, and I don't know, from a very early age it moved me. I'd hear things and it made me sad or happy. Same thing, I'm sure, for everybody, music kind of touches you deeply inside somewhere, and it's hard to explain what it is, but it just does. It has the power to get deep inside your soul and take you somewhere. And I just was really into rock bands like Queen, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and just decided one year I wanted a guitar for Christmas. I wanted to start playing. And I thought it was going to be way easier than it was. I thought I was going to pick it up and I'd be playing solos right away. And and then I picked it up and I realized, wow, this is going to take some time if I really want to learn this. But basically I started playing because I liked rock music and rock bands that were guitar oriented, like Ritchie Blackmore and Deep Purple, Brian May and Queen, Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. And soon after I started playing guitar, I heard the Jeff Beck Wired record. I think Jeff Beck was coming to town to play to Philadelphia, which was close to where I lived, and I heard his music in the ad on the radio, and I thought, I gotta get his record. So I got the Wired record, and that changed my life forever. He was a huge influence on me. So it all kind of started like that.
Okay.
In the beginning, it was just guitar, I only wanted to hear guitar. And then later I started listening to different things like John Coltrane and different instruments, and that inspired me a lot. Even though I didn't really work out the parts note for note, of course it would be impossible, most of it. But just hearing things, outside of guitar opened up new dimensions. I went through a period where I listened to a little classical style guitar, but mainly I listened to classical music like Bach and Beethoven and stuff like that. And that was really because of Ritchie Blackmore. I was reading a Ritchie Blackmore interview, and he said he was into Beethoven and Bach, and I thought, well, if Ritchie's listening to this stuff, I have to check it out too.
Yeah. So
that's why I originally got into classical music. The first two were really in that whole neoclassical style, and I was really into that. And I just think I kind of burned out on it a little bit. I got so heavily into it, and in that time period, everybody started doing that, and it just kind of got boring to me because everybody was doing the same thing. And plus, the one thing I don't like about those early records is that I didn't show completely what I was all about stylistically as an artist. I grew up on blues and rock and jazz and fusion. And the early record really doesn't show much of that. It kind of shows one part of what I did. And so I've always been a little regretful about that. But, through the years, I've got to show more and more stylistically on the other records that followed. I started working with Dean about 3 or 4 years ago. And I had some conversations with him on the phone. And based on those conversations, they kind of put together a guitar for me, a prototype. It wasn't painted or anything. And I went down to their factory in Florida, Tampa, Florida, picked up the guitar. It felt really great. It was like 90% there. I can't believe they got that close on the first try. And then we spent a couple of months after that just fine-tuning the small things, like contours. Like I remember being there and going, well, I need more of a cutaway so my palm can fit. And they took it down to the wood shop, came back 10 minutes later with a deeper curve. And then the back of the heel of the guitar was kind of flat, and I told them it was hitting my hand too much. So again, they took it away and carved out some wood, made an angle. And then we spent a lot of time dealing with like where the tone and the volume controls were going to be, changing the neck just a little bit, and just small things. And I really like the guitar. It's really comfortable, and I have maybe 5 or 6 of them, and I can bring any of those out on the road or record with anyone. If you put like a blindfold on and I felt it, it would pretty much feel like the same guitar. So there's consistency, and that's what I was really after. You know, I've always been the kind of guy who got attached to one guitar and only played that one guitar, because if I played something else, it didn't feel right, it didn't feel the same. And with the Dean, because there's the consistency, everyone feels, you know, I pick one off the shelf at a music store, I pick up my red one or my blue one, and they all feel the same. That's important to me.
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure that one out, actually. I don't know how it happens. Mostly it happens with me sitting around with a guitar and some idea just comes to me, or I just play something and I go, hey, wait a minute, that's inspiring me. Everything happens by accident almost. If I sit down with a guitar and say, okay, I'm going to write a song now, it just never is inspiring that way. It never really happens that way. It has to happen almost by accident without you being consciously aware of it. And that's where all my best ideas come from, when I'm just playing guitar and not really trying to achieve anything. And then once I get like one idea, then more ideas start to flow in that are related to the first one. So then it kind of starts to build, and then once it's in my head, I can even put down the guitar and walk away. Sometimes I'll walk away, like get 20 feet away, and I'm hearing something else in my head, and then I've got to go back and pick up the guitar and record it onto my recorder so I don't forget. So yeah, it's like, with me, it's either feast or famine. There's either nothing at all, or all of a sudden there's a new barrage of ideas. And you know, I still, after all these years, don't really know where it comes from or how you do it. You know, somebody says, "How did you write this song?" or "Where did the ideas come from?" and I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a kid, you know, I had a few UFO records. I had Forset, Lights Out, and Obsession, and I was really into those records. And I remember being a kid in my bedroom jamming to those songs, and never thinking that someday I could be in that band. You know, that would have been crazy. And ironically, I ended up in that band years later, and I've been playing with the band for 10 years now. I just want to thank everyone for coming out for the UFO shows that I've just finished, and everyone in advance who's coming to the solo shows this coming week and to the clinic today. And you know, I like playing here because I feel that people are very passionate about music and about life, and I feel that way as a person too. And it's just great to play for the fans when they are so excited and enthusiastic.
Great.